In the end, what does it all mean? Have you lived well? All the thoughts thought, all the people you loved, fought, and laughed with? Or was it about what you earned and bought? Here, in the godless best of the West, what does it all mean?
I know when I was what I thought was on my deathbed 21 years ago, I wasn't lying there thinking, gosh, I've lived in some lovely houses, I've driven some wonderful cars. It was more about, am I at peace with myself? Do I know myself? Am I at peace with my history? Do the people that love me know who I am? It's never about the stuff.
I think in Australia at the moment we do have an epidemic of meaninglessness. Feeling that all the old values that used to be so important seem to have been eroded and lost. And on the one hand, many people feel that that's a liberation to get rid of those old Christian values that I grew up with. But now we're aware of the emptiness that it's left us in as a culture.
Northeast of Perth, nestled in a languid vale, is an old monastery where Benedictine monks go about their days in quiet contemplation of a God that is increasingly unfamiliar to many Australians.
Originally, Christianity was an Eastern religion. It was a Middle Eastern religion at any rate. It took a long time to get coverage throughout the West.
In the 6th century, Benedict became disillusioned with the world and chose to live as a hermit in a cave near Rome. He developed and wrote about a disciplined life dedicated to prayer for people seeking God in a community.
All you nations, sing out your joy to the Lord.
For more than 150 years, this monastery supported as many as 70 monks. Today, there are just 11.
The reason that St. Benedict gives for keeping silence in the monastery is that monks should be listening people, they should be learning people, and not holding forth and trying to teach everybody all the time. There's a receptivity, a passivity even, about our life, that we believe that God is giving himself all the time, and our problem is that we don't listen to that, we don't observe it, we don't take space, time away to see what's actually happening around us.
Well, we can't, because what's happening around us, as we've seen through this series, is a time-poor Western world offering economic enslavement, moral decay, and cultural confusion. We revel in other people's outrage and scandal while aspiring to gloss and spectacle. Like ancient Rome, we fiddle with excess while knowingly contributing to our own demise. And to fill a spiritual vacuum, we reach for meaning in drugs, therapy, and shopping centres. But since when has happiness or even fulfilment depended on consumption?
If you look at the 7 deadly sins and cardinal virtues, for example, the virtues are things like faith, hope, charity, prudence, temperance or moderation, religion, and fortitude, courage or strength. The vices are typically pride in the sense of vanity or self-centeredness, envy, avarice or greed, gluttony, wrath or anger, sloth or laziness. By their nature, individualism and materialism have tended to, in fact, reverse that list and place a lot of emphasis on the individual satisfying their desires and needs. And what we see out of that is this cascade of personal and social consequences that are really harmful to both the individual and society.
And religion, which guided our morals and virtues. But 600 years ago, the state and church used each other to further their empires. The seeds of our decadence were contained in that era. God was used to justify the getting of wealth and power. Politics and religion shared the same bed, and neither have been the same ever since.
Nevertheless, Christianity was the bedrock of expansionist Western civilization until recently. Materialism's final victim is Christianity.
Time magazine declared God was dead.
Yes, that's right. And rightly so. Very interesting. That moment, I think it was 67. Yes, the 60s were a crucial decade. In a sense, they'd been coming a long while. Christianity had become a religion which was mainly reduced to ethics. And there was a great deal of conventional church going and that sort of thing. The 60s shook the whole thing out and really made people choose between being conventional Christians or being unbelievers. The fallout in the West was immense. And from that time onwards, Christianity has been a minority religion in the West.
Reclaiming its once exclusive flock is a challenge for the mainstream church.
But for some denominations, a glossy makeover is packing them in the aisles.
If you can see who you are today in Christ, you've got a foundation to live the life that God intends for you to live.
Hillsong's a contemporary charismatic church. I don't really know what the statistics are and how many have come from other established churches, traditional churches. I think that what people connect with is a sense of direction, that they're not just being confronted with form and men's traditions as opposed to Bible tradition and so on. They're singing in a way that they can communicate with, that the Bible's being taught in a way that is touching the real practical issues in their life. And I feel like young people are drawn to that. Plus, of course, the idea of friendship and relationship and community that comes with being part of a church.
For this congregation, God is definitely back, with friends in high places.
I think it's a remarkable testament, can I say, that at 6 o'clock on a Saturday evening in a suburb of Sydney, you can gather a congregation such as this. Pretty impressive.
But if the mainstream churches are wondering why their congregations have gone AWOL, are these happy clappers also oblivious to the humbler origins of Christianity?
Their faith that they are presenting is very simplistic and black and white and based on a very intense and narrow form of personal morality that in fact doesn't deal properly with the complexity of life, then people are often going to be in a far worse state when they leave those churches, which they will, than they were when they came.
But where will they go?
So yeah, beforehand I was just pretty much, I don't know about a normal teenager, I guess. Yeah, I was just into music and parties and sort of, looking for girls sort of thing. But every now and again it would just come to my mind, oh, maybe I should search for some spirituality, some religion or something. So one day, okay, well I've got the internet, so how about Buddhism? I'll see what that's all about. And so I typed it in, and that's how I found it.
While a Google search might yield some pointers, the fact is these Eastern religions, or more accurately, ways of life, have evolved in faraway cultures over thousands of years. A mountain meditation course, a weekly stint at yoga, or even a couple of years of monasticism isn't going to fill the vacuum of a self-indulgent life in a material world. So, get off my cloud.
Buddhism talks much more about finding happiness than about finding God, I think, and this seems to resonate with both the kind of materialistic search for happiness and pleasure, and somehow linking that in to happiness in a much deeper spiritual sense as well.
So now we look for religions to justify our consumption of the meaningless. But ask any of our leaders and they'll tell you there's only one. Salvation is to be found in economic growth. When you've got lots of stuff and pots of money, who needs anything else? Especially an intangible spirituality, which is quite different to religion.